They were here thousands of years before Columbus. While Paris was still a village, they were carving cities out of the jungle. They played a ball game for life or death. They planned their lives according to the heavens. Their writing is a puzzle we're still learning to decipher.
Wow, look at this. Really something.
Now the pace of discovery is quickening. We are finally finding out who they were.
Bone? There's a lot of bone.
Look at this.
Ooh, man.
Look, it's a black kind of...
Oh, man. This is really a powerful work of art.
They are the people who say that the gods made them from corn. They are the Maya. The year is 1839. The place, Western Honduras. An American explorer named John Lloyd Stevens is leading an expedition in search of an abandoned Maya city called Copan. Almost nothing is known about the Maya. Stevens is about to learn more. Draped with 1,000 years of tropical growth, the brooding temples and tumbled stones sprawl for miles. Stevens is overwhelmed by a sense of mystery. Who built this place? What happened here? In the following days, Stevens and English artist Frederick Catherwood record their impressions of the ruined city. It lay before us like a shattered bark in the midst of the ocean. Her masts gone, her crew perished, and none to tell whence she came, or what caused her destruction. All was mystery. Dark, impenetrable mystery. During the next 3 years, Stevens and Catherwood visit the better-known Maya sites to the north. In Yucatan, they explore Uxmal and Chichen Itza. In Chiapas, they visit Palenque. And still, questions plague them. Who built these cities? Why had they been abandoned? The land of the Mayas spread from parts of Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala in the south to Belize and Mexico in the north. It was dotted with hundreds of small kingdoms, each with its own unique history. The heartland of what scholars call the classic Maya civilization lay in the southern lowlands. It is there that our story takes place, starting at the site where scientific excavations first began, Copan. Today, this partially restored site still retains its air of mystery. Bill Fash is the director of the Copan Acropolis project.
Copan was one of the premier Maya cities. Now, we can't say that in terms of its size. Certainly there were other cities that were larger. But while it was booming for about 400 years there, it was quite a place. It had incredible artists, sculptors, architects, engineers, astronomers, scribes, and so forth. So I suppose if you had to put it in our cultural terms, if Tikal were like, say, New York, Copan was like Paris.
Every year for the past few decades, a handful of Maya specialists and hundreds of workers have been trying to piece Copan's history back together. The story of what happened here is still unfolding, stone by stone.
There are over 30,000 fragments of stone sculpture that once adorned these buildings. The problem is, for this particular puzzle, there's no box top. There's no picture that enables us to know how they went back together. We have to try and figure that out. And the problem's made worse by things like this. This is what we call a gok pile, G-O-K for God only knows, because God only knows where any of these rocks came from. The earlier archaeologists just piled them up here. So our job is to figure out which designs adorn the different structures, come back to the gok piles and pull out the examples that are just like those we have dug up and try and put the whole thing back together.
But in spite of the difficulties, Fash's team of experts has reassembled thousands of sculptures and conserved dozens of buildings. Every year, the picture of what Copan was like more than 1,000 years ago becomes clearer. Many clues still lie hidden in the temples where the Maya elite buried their dead. The classic Maya had virtually no interest in metal, so there is no gold buried here. But sometimes something even more valuable is unearthed.
That's it. Watch the wire. Can I see this space? All right, yes. It's repainted. It's a stucco coating over.
In 1992, Robert Scherer discovered the tomb of a royal family member. Buried with him were some pots.
One glyph is there.
What makes these vessels especially significant are the painted designs and the hieroglyphic writing.
Well, they're fantastic vessels, although I don't know if I can say much about the glyphs on them.
40 years ago, we could read only a few Maya hieroglyphs. Today, we can read about half, but it takes an expert.
There's another pot just like the one with the feet in the tomb.
Wow. But again, it's just
David Stewart is the son of Maya scholars and one of the world's foremost epigraphers.
By being able to read the glyphs now, it makes the Maya a little bit more normal. It makes them more human. because we see that they did have history, that they were people that had real concerns about themselves and the events in their lives.
One kind of Maya writing was almost lost forever. When Spanish priests arrived in the 16th century, they found hundreds of folding books called codices and promptly burned them. Today, only parts of 4 codices remain, but they have helped to shape the way we think about the Maya. The books are almanacs, filled with astrological information. The men and women who wrote the almanacs were scribes, well versed in astronomy. Using a sophisticated mathematics, they calculated the movements of the night sky thousands of years into the past and thousands of years into the future. They knew that the universe moved in cycles, some very large, some very small. They even predicted eclipses of the sun. They seem to have been fascinated by the relationship between time and the events in their own lives. The Maya also left a record in a medium much more permanent than paper. And this writing contains much more than dates and numbers. On these stones, the Maya recorded the important events in the lives of their rulers. This is the hieroglyphic stairway at Copan, the longest inscribed text in the New World. But early archaeologists reassembled it out of order, so today we can read it only in segments. Sculpture specialist Barbara Fash is making a catalog of the 1,200 glyphs on the stairway. Someday, these drawings may tell a more complete story of Copan's kings.
This means to plant with a stick in the ground.
Other hieroglyphs are more accessible, thanks to dramatic breakthroughs in the past few decades.
This is the date. It's
Epigrapher Linda Sheely has done her share of the recent detective work.
This is a little tree tag. And on this side, facing the east, he's young. But on the west side, you can see, look at the beard. It is a rare thing when a people develop historical consciousness and make recorded history a part of what they do. What we are participating in now is the recovery of lost history, because American history does not begin in 1492 with Columbus. It begins in 200 BC with the first Maya king who wrote his name on a stone.
Long before the first king wrote his name on a stone, the Maya were living in the fertile Copan Valley. They were corn farmers. Their lives were ruled by the rhythms of the natural world, planting and harvesting, birth and death. But around AD 400, at about the time Rome was starting to collapse, a change swept through the valley. On a lazy bend in the Copan River, buildings made from stone were rising from the jungle floor. Brilliantly colored buildings surrounded a whitewashed central plaza where thousands of people could gather. There was trade in shells and cacao beans, tobacco, jade, and feathers. At the center of the city stood the ball court,